Hey guys, what's going on? It's Eli, back with another review video. In celebration of Family Guy's anniversary, I'm reviewing a batch of Family Guy specials, special episodes, and yes, so the last two, well, they were the first two Family Guy Star Wars parody specials, and, well, of course, now we come to the third and final one. And once again joining me is one of my good friends, Anchorman.
Hello there.
Yes, so he's been continuously, joining me, reviewing some of the Family Guy specials. So he joined me for the first two, and if any of you have not seen the first two Family Guy specials that me and Anchorman had reviewed, go watch those first, and then come back to this. So that's right, the third and final Family Guy Star Wars special, obviously being Return of the Jedi, and that being, it's a trap! Had to say it that way, of course. I mean, you have to. So, it's a trap! Yes, so, the third and final Family Guy Star Wars special, It's a Trap. Just what a fitting title that is. I mean, look at the first two Family Guy specials and how they were titled. Yeah, the first things we have to say about Family Guy, It's a Trap, I'll start with me. I don't have that much to say because, well, I just remember at that time, and that goes for the first two, when they happened, and at that time, I was not able to watch anything Family Guy, but at a certain point, I think maybe the Family Guy Star Wars specials were one of the first things of Family Guy that I watched, so I'm pretty sure. Well, because I remember, when, seeing, I guess, advertisements and promos and such for It's a Trap, and seeing bits and pieces of it, and watching clips of it on YouTube, some of the jokes that are in this, and, having to, of course, watch the 55, minute version of this, and the one that's a bit shorter, mostly, say, on TV, and this, of course, I've explained this before in the last two, because, on TV, they were shortened down to 44 minutes or something, but clearly for the DVD and Blu-ray releases, there was more to them, and hence, they were a little bit longer, up to, say, 50 or 55 or 56 minutes and such, with jokes that were more extra jokes, gags, and of course, with the shorter versions, some of those good jokes and gags being cut out. So having to watch both versions, and all three of them, of course, really good, and it's hard to choose, for me, it's hard to choose a favorite of the three. I think they're all good, but I guess probably It's a Trap might be my favorite, I don't know, but just overall, the third and final Family Guy Star Wars special, It's a Trap, is a pretty good one. And, of course, closing off Family Guy doing their Star Wars parodies. So, yeah. Okay, Anchorman, we'll come to you next. What are the first things you have to say about It's a Trap?
I really liked this special with Family Guy. It definitely felt like the finale to the Star Wars parodies. I wish they did the other Star Wars movies, but it was cool that they did the Return of the Jedi, and this, you were talking about earlier, how you weren't really allowed to watch Family Guy. I was also not allowed, but this episode I was definitely allowed to watch.
Yeah, well said. And because, I think for a lot of people, because you mentioned that, because, some people, I think they've expressed interest, they want to see Family Guy do the prequel trilogy and such. Well, even in this, they made a joke about it, but until we get to that, and I don't know if you've seen this, Anchorman, because it was pretty well edited. I think it was around the time when The Force Awakens came out, someone did a fan edit, inserting the Family Guy characters in the teaser trailer for The Force Awakens, and yeah, did you see that, Anchorman?
I don't think so, but I've seen, fan art of, what they look like as the sequel trilogy characters.
I think the biggest obvious one would have to be, say, Stewie as Kylo Ren.
Yes.
I thought so. Well, and that's what was in the fan edit trailer and such. You had Stewie as Kylo. You had, very fitting, Joe Swanson as BB-8, Cleveland as Finn, and so on. Just, yeah. Alright, so, enough said, and as always, read the description / the story. Despite the lack of electricity, Peter continues to narrate his rendition of Return of the Jedi, with him as Han Solo, Lois as Leia, Chris as Luke, Brian as Chewie, Stewie as Darth Vader, Cleveland as R2-D2, and Quagmire as C-3PO. Yeah, because, now getting into the episode itself, yeah. Because once again, the power going out, and what they're watching this time on TV is like a singer, you know? And once again, the power goes out, and by now they've gotten used to it, and well, because they know what's coming next, and, you know, we're about to do Jedi, aren't we? Let's just get through this. And a long time ago, before MASH, but after MASH, but before MASH, like like a reference to MASH, so... Well, I mean, because, like, MASH being a big thing in the 70s, starting with the movie, and then the show. So, anyways, I mean, MASH is it's made movie and TV history for sure. I mean, especially with the show. Anyways, so, the opening crawl, this time the crawl is just, like, the opening crawl is just had it, and just, it's funny. And, of course, coming to the second Death Star, and, well, because... There was a couple of, like, Imperial troops, like, that stole a couple of, like, shovels, that whole thing. And it's a trap, because, if I recall, I think just a little bit in the last two. But in this, we get cameos / guest appearances of other characters from the two other animated shows from Seth MacFarlane, because... One of the first characters we see, I mean, you know, we have Stewie, of course, once again as Vader. One Imperial officer that comes to greet Darth Vader is Roger the Alien. Well, that's fitting, and even Stewie making a joke, are we running out of our own characters? Well, not really. I mean, you know what, there's a good chunk of other characters that were not used for the 3 Family Guy Star Wars specials. I can think of, like, say, the Doctor character, the mustache. There's also the peg-legged pirate guy, him. I know they have names, but I can't remember them right now. And the chicken, well, yeah, the chicken being Boba Fett, but yeah, so, and begin, like, his, a joke about there being no hole in the Death Star, but there's, like, a dreadlock, or what, there's a name to it, I can't remember, but, you know, there is a way for, you know, possibly the rebels to get in and blow up the Death Star. And of course, you know, one joke that was cut from the TV version, I assume, like, well, one of them, like, how Palpatine got the idea of creating the Death Star, just on a napkin and drawing a circle and, you know, space station, and, you know, what? Says Darth Vader. And seeing Quagmire and R2, well, Quagmire is C-3PO and Cleveland is R2-D2 once again, making their way to Jabba's palace, and this one made my mom crack up. Like, this, I think this was her favorite joke from It's a Trap, where, you know, little black girls, like, you know, asking R2 if he wants to come and, you know, skip rope, in which he does so. You know, here I am on Tatooine, jumping up a ditch, blah, 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 and right as it finishes, you know, R2 whipping out a hologram image of Leia, you know, help me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. Again, that's the one joke that really got my mom. She got a kick out of that one. Apparently because that eye mechanic thing, like, you know, basically has the voice of the maid, no, and just tricking it, you know, oh, look, Jabba's cat, you know, got out, and such. And, well, of course, we have Jabba, and Jabba being Joe Swanson. Well, that's kind of fitting. And Patrick Warburton, I think he does pretty good at doing Jabba's voice. And 3PO just making a joke, oh my god, Alec Baldwin! And we see, like, a sock puppet, which is pretty funny. They added more for the special edition. Hey, what are you guys doing here? Rawr. Okay, well, we'll now come to you, Anchorman, because what are the first things you have to say and where I've so far come up to?
I really like that scene of, like, R2 Cleveland doing jump rope. and singing that little
And,
song.
and good. So,
That scene was probably my favorite in this whole special. Even when I still first saw it as a kid, I thought that was so funny.
uh-huh.
Like, I think this might have been the first time I saw the Family Guy specials. Maybe, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, okay, so, and is there anything else before we continue?
The Roger cameo was cool, even though I don't watch America Dad, but like I just knew it was him from America Dad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and also, well, yeah, okay, so continuing, because, well, seeing Han Solo once again, still in Carbonite, and what happened in something Dark Side, showing his butt crack, and there's, like, one joke where, because it's a Christmas Story reference, getting tongue stuck to it, and triple dog dare. Anyways, so, and continuing and to speed things up, because, yeah, well, and of course, Return of the It's a Trap, of course, following the story of Return of the Jedi, and, a bounty hunter, which of course being Leia, Lois, freeing Han Solo from Carbonite, and by doing so, letting out farts, and, and of course, they're caught, Han being thrown in the brig, and this is where we first see Chewbacca, and, well, sure enough, Luke arrives confronting Jabba, and apparently because this one joke that was cut, from the TV versions, I assume, like a reference to David Letterman's Top 10. So, yeah. And then, of course, being thrown into the Sarlacc pit, and this, God, the Sarlacc in this, being the late Rush Limbaugh. Yeah, I think this is when I first knew about Rush Limbaugh. And, well, Rush Limbaugh himself voicing himself. Yeah, he voices himself. And it's so great when they can sometimes bring in people who sometimes would voice themselves, or anybody who's played their characters in classic movies. You get my point, just like, Beverly and Chevy Chase, reprising their roles as, the Griswolds, and the late Joe Flaherty reprising the role of his character at the end of Back to the Future Part 2. Take those, for example. So, yeah. Do you have anything to say on the cameo of Rush Limbaugh as the Rancor anchorman?
I thought that was funny. It was like instead of being like a giant monster, it was just some giant dude cameo.
Yes, of course. And, well, of course, Skywalker defeating Rush Limbaugh, and R2 popping up and asking him, and he makes, you know what? Family Guy is establishing this, acknowledging this, yeah, it's true. But but honestly, it doesn't bother me that it didn't happen in Return of the Jedi, because R2 popping up and, hey, Luke, did you want me to throw your lightsaber? And yeah, about like 10 minutes ago, whatever he says. Yeah, what do you make of that, Anchorman? Does it not bother you that maybe Luke should have gotten his lightsaber and taken down the Rancor? What do you make of that?
I never really thought about it until I saw that line. I thought
Me
that
neither.
line was funny. Also, and if you played a Lego Star Wars,
Yes.
You when you fight the Rancor, you use Luke's lightsaber, but then later in the game, they still do the sail barge lightsaber catch thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I guess it's funny that they acknowledge that.
Yeah, of course. Also, I didn't realize this because the little girl, well, I assume one of those little girls, jumping rope, being voiced by Yara Shahidi, if I'm saying the last name right, who years later would go on to play the live-action role of Tinkerbell in Disney's Peter Pan and Wendy. Yeah, so that's her. So, of course, coming to the Sarlacc pit. I meant Rancor. Did I say Sarlacc pit? No, I'm sorry. Maybe I did say Rancor because of getting them mixed up. If I did, I'm sorry. But, yeah, the Sarlacc pit sequence, and just like what happened in the first two, well, no, because nothing... Yeah, I remember now clearly, because, yeah, Meg plays the Sarlacc creature, and as she's played two other creatures in the first two, and... Yeah, poor Meg. not getting any lines, but at least she did, in something, something, something dark side, but still, like, and what'd you think on that, Anchorman? Meg as the Sarlacc.
It's funny, but also I feel so sad for her.
We all do, Anchorman. You're not the only one, so we pretty much everybody is, so.
Meg needs a hug.
Yeah, Meg needs a honest and boyfriend, and who sees her for who she is. So, although I'm pretty sure you have to go back and look, because I think technically at some point something like that happened. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you recall knowing about that?
Knowing about Meg having a boyfriend?
Yeah, and apparently it seemed like they were getting married or something.
I think she does have a kid in their more recent episodes.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. Yeah, I haven't. Family Guy lately, because I swear, and I think I'm most likely right, that at a certain point, in like maybe the last season or two, Meg finally found love. I think it's about time that at least something good for one of these Family Guy characters. I mean, aside from Stewie, because he'll never grow up. Just something for these characters, most notably Meg. Just, by this point, have something good for them. Make a slight change to the show. Yeah, so, it doesn't hurt to do so. And maybe, like, maybe sometimes, like, when the right time comes, that kind of stuff, but anyways. So, yeah, the whole Sarlacc pit sequence that's done in It's a Trap is pretty funny. Han Solo begging on his knees, and we get a quick appearance of the ostrich, like the ostrich doing like a running gag sometimes. Ha. So, and one hilarious moment when they're all nodding their heads, it just keeps going and going just for a little bit, for maybe like a minute. And like there's like one baseball guy, and there's a guy with a tuba, and we then cut to some footage from Caddyshack. Like, the most notable part from Caddyshack, well, we're waiting. Because, yeah, we're waiting for it to continue and for, all hell to break loose that they unleash on Jabba and his audience and such. Like, yeah, so what about you, Anchorman? Because that's that part where they're nodding their heads a lot.
It was funny.
That's all you
I
can...
like how they keep, like, Luke nods to R2, Leia... and they just keep going and going and going.
Yeah, and then at one point, then it happens again, just this time with Han and Chewie, because they were about to take on Boba Fett, and when they were about to, when Han turned, well, someone, told him that, yeah, he fell into the pit. Maybe he slipped or something, but that's the end of the chicken is Boba Fett. So yeah, and of course, Luke taking on Jabba's men, and, well, Leia, of course, choking Jabba. And by the way, right before Luke, walking and jumping on the plane, because one bit of language from Jabba, and just like how it was in A Million Ways to Die in the West, Mila Kunis, because I know we've talked about this, and when me and Anchorman, we did our review of A Million Ways to Die in the West. If any of you want to go check that out, for those of you that have not seen it. Just how her name, Mila Kunis, kind of does sound something like, like certain like language you would hear from like, I guess like say Aliens or whatever, just something like that. Because again, we've talked about it. We talked about it in our review of A Million Ways to Die in the West. But anyways, yeah, and also another funny moment where Han repeatedly just shooting at Lando, but then of course, because like, well, he can see a lot better, he says, but no, bad aim and hitting, targeting poor Lando, but finally targeting the Sarlacc creature, and sure enough, they of course get out of there, proceed on, Luke of course going to the Dagobah system while the others making their way to catch up with the rebel forces, and like Luke informing the crew of the Millennium Falcon, and just Han pulled a joke on him and just a prank, and well, because of a voicemail, leave a message and such. And sure enough, well, the Emperor finally arrives, and of course the Emperor, whom we saw in Something Something Dark Side, Carter, Lois's father, playing the part of Palpatine. And oh my gosh, because this was it was a dark joke where a sick child, like I guess a nod to Make-A-Wish, like visiting the Death Star and getting to meet Palpatine, and Palpatine just saying, you know, how do you like the Death Star so far? Oh, you ought to come back next year when it's done. Well, that was dark. Do you have anything to say on that?
Definitely a dark joke. I did like the scene where like the stormtrooper tries to catch up in the crowd.
Yes, yeah, because thank you for mentioning that, because yeah, sorry, and even Darth Vader informing Palpatine that he ought to use the Death Star pool, because his room is not quite finished. He's trying to relax while two boys are splashing each other, and Palpatine is not having it, and he's zaps. Oh, God. Hopefully if they were the only two, but, you know, I deserve to relax, etc. And coming to the Dagobah system, the Dagobah planet, Yoda, once again, being Carl, H. John Benjamin, of course, the voice of Carl is Yoda. Yoda, of course, is sick and dying, and, well, informing Luke that there is another Skywalker, and just like, you know, Luke, yeah, still here, and yeah, him finally dying, and Luke going into Yoda's wallet, making a call, and apparently, because in this, we learned about Yoda's last name, okay, anyways, and, well, of course, Herbert the Pervert is Obi-Wan once again, and, you know, telling Luke the truth about his father and Darth Vader, and also a hint, because of what Yoda said. There is another Skywalker, and, well, Herbert trying to describe to him, and just, you know, who do you think's the only damn woman in the galaxy? And, of course, being Leia, so... And Herbert just making, like, the jokes that he says, and what he says to Chris never fails, and even, like, you want to poop in Yoda's toilet, pretend he took a big one? Just, that was funny, yeah. And, of course... coming to the Rebels, and, well, this was hilarious, even though, because, yeah, she was a part of Family Guy for a while. Angela as Mon Mothma, and that, of course, and Angela being voiced by the late Carrie Fisher. And, Peter as Han, you know, saying, look at that, the only other chick in the galaxy, and Leia's response, I don't like her. So, Angela's Mon Mothma, you know, giving the information and such, and, you know, many Bothans die. There's like a dark joke there, because, like, one of the rebel troops, you know, laughing about Bothans, and then what Mon Mothma says, yeah, ooh, yeah, too soon. And, of course, enter Admiral Akbar, and the next cameo/guest is Klaus from American Dad, D. Bradley Baker, of course, voicing Klaus, and already, you know, saying, it's a trap! Sorry, you know, we'll get there later. So, yeah, very fitting, of course, because, well, Admiral Akbar is a fish-like creature in Star Wars, and, well, who better to be Akbar than, well, Klaus. So, and of course he's still in the fishbowl. That's funny. What'd you think on that, Klaus's appearance in this?
I liked how he was a fishbowl, even though he is in the show, but it's like they're trying to make it natural fish. Admiral Akbar.
Yep. Okay, so then, of course, well, Luke returning, and, like, you know, what is it? Ask me later. I'm not telling. That was funny. And, well, because them getting on a stolen Imperial shuttle, making their way, and, well, because, you know, when they arrive, because, you know, and when coming back to the second Death Star, more funny moments between the Emperor and Vader, even when the Emperor's, right as Vader walks in his room, trying to, because he farted and using Force lightning to just get the smell away. And again, when Luke and the rest, you know, arrive, and of course, you know, they are contacted by the big Imperial cruiser, and, you know, transmit the clearance code, and, you know, it's an older code, and it's like black and white, silent, and with music. That's funny. And the Imperial shuttle, like, you know, fly casual, as Han says, and that's funny. And Vader sensing Luke, you know, Skywalker's on that ship. You can sense him? No, he's right there. Can see him out the window. And he's popping out of the window of the Imperial shuttle. And sure enough, because, yeah, them arriving down on the surface, and because when it comes to them, like, coming face-to-face with a couple of stormtroopers, and, you know, Han stepping on a twig, but not just that, stepping on a couple of other things from, like, a bubble wrap, clown horn, a dog's tail, and then a beatbox playing a bit of music from Space Jam. Well, because yeah, and the speed bikes, yeah, the speeder bikes in this. I don't think, maybe not all of them, probably so, because the speeder bikes in this are literally bicycles. And when one of the stormtroopers gets on one bicycle, well, out pops Pee Wee Herman, because, well, that was his bike. And Seth MacFarlane, he voices Pee Wee, and he does a pretty good spot-on job doing an impression of Pee Wee, but they couldn't get Paul Rubens to voice Pee Wee. I don't know, maybe because he was unavailable or something? I don't know. Well, because the bike chase happening, and just like, oh my gosh, even like when the bikes crash, they explode. So, and we get another cameo of John Williams, not being voiced by not John Williams himself, but whom does the voice impression of John Williams, Bruce McGill, because Luke asks John if he can like play the theme from E.T., but he says no, but I can play the theme of Entertainment Weekly. I think, yeah, that's it. So, and that was funny, celebrating birthdays today, and just the I don't like you guy. IG, he's a droid. He doesn't age. Like, God. And of course, yeah, Luke getting on a bike, and, well, Lois catching down the other, defeating that one trooper, and apparently we randomly cut back to the events of Blue Harvest, and when Alderaan was destroyed, and, quickly get a voice cameo of Adam West as Tarkin, destroy the planet of Alderaan, new dialogue in that, and, well, after Alderaan was destroyed, one piece of it, is flying, and apparently when coming up to the events of It's a Trap, well, that piece from Alderaan making its way to Endor, and by that point, Leia is saying to herself that she's finally gotten over the destruction of her home planet, and yeah, that piece from Alderaan hits her, and that's what knocks her out. So, and of course, Luke defeating the one stormtrooper he was chasing, and yeah. Okay, but we'll come to you, Anchorman, because where we're up to now, like, what do you have to say this time?
I like the bike chase scene and the scene where Peters accidentally like steps on things and the scout trooper can't even hear it at all.
No, they are clearly, because those are loud sounds, and still he does not notice.
Nope.
No. And did you get the Pee Wee joke as well?
Yeah, I got it.
Good. Yeah, and because and wasn't it funny as well? Because like the Imperial shuttle that they stole, and they're in like casually, flying casual, walking.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. The way the ship turned into that.
Yeah, as I recall, I think that was in one of those trailers for It's a Trap. I'm pretty sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seem to recall. Even like the one clip of Skywalker's on that ship. So, anyways, so continuing on. Well, because Luke, when he meets up with Han and the others, well, because Leia's not there, and thus they have to go find her, And, well, we, of course, come to the Ewoks, and, of course, the first Ewok that we see is Wicked, and who better to be Wicked? And, of course, that goes for all the other Ewoks than Family Guy's own version of, their design of bears, and, of course, playing the part of Wicked, another cameo/guest that's in this, from the Cleveland Show, Tim the Bear. Very fitting that he's Wicked. Like, now what did you think on that? That Tim is playing the part of Wicked.
I'm a big fan of Tim the Bear, so him playing Wicked was a perfect choice.
Yes, and you are an intruder, and I want you off my planet. And Lois is Leia offering Wicked like a crumb or something. I will do anything you say. So that was funny. And well, because them still trying to find Leia, and well, because how they get trapped in a net. Well, because apparently Chewbacca spots a hot girl from Florida. And Han warning Chewie, wait, if you approach her, you're gonna have to talk with her mother. And I believe, yeah, it was like, because, yeah, the hot chick from Florida's mother showing up, looking almost exactly like her daughter, but of course older, and, well, she's a smoker, and yeah, the hot blonde being voiced by a, cameo voice, that is, of good old Anne Hathaway. So yeah, she's the voice of the hot blonde's mother, and yeah, it was funny. And of course, sure enough, they get that it was a trap, and them getting caught in the net, and when they break free, and thanks to R2 and his little tiny saw, well, out pops the Ewoks, C-3PO. He says, "Oh my God, they're adorable." They are fascinated by 3PO, and well, then, of course, like in the movie, they worship 3PO as if he's some sort of god, and them just saying, "Gold guy." That was funny. And of course, them being taken to the village, about to be roasted, and them telling 3PO to say something to convince them to let them go. I mean, nothing's working, and, well, you think Luke is going to use the Force to lift the chair that 3PO's in? Well, no, because after it being a bit dramatic, and then out of nowhere, he's like, "Is this your card?" Well, that's what convinces them to free them, and yeah. And of course, they are reunited with Lois, and a comment about her hair being different and such. Well, the moment where Leia learns the truth that, well, she and Luke are related. They're siblings. And then, because it gets funny, and apparently because, Leia just randomly introducing, "Ladies and gentlemen, Darth Twitty," and it's archival footage of the late Conway Twitty. And they edited in the Darth Vader helmet on him. It was pretty funny. Okay, but we'll come back to you, Anchorman, because where we're at so far and such, what do you got to say this time?
I like the scene where R2 Cleveland uses that saw thing to open the thing, to open their net trap.
And the dialogue that he says, I assume.
Yeah.
And also, what is there anything else? Maybe what about the part with "Is this your card?"
It was cool. Funny.
Yeah.
They remind you of that, I don't know. Was it a reference to something? I feel like I know it.
Just I think it was just a simple joke, and in magic and such, "Is this your card?" or "Is this your card?" Just, yeah. And did you, honestly, I don't think I really did, but knowing him some more, but what about you? Did you get the Darth Twitty reference and such?
Maybe if I saw the joke again, maybe I'd get it.
Yeah, I mean, the late Conway Twitty, because he was a musician and a country singer, so yeah.
Oh, I see.
Right, yeah. Okay, so continuing, because well, Vader arriving on Endor, when the Imperial shuttle lands, permission to land like a dainty butterfly. Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of what it is. And Vader meeting up with Luke and, "Hey, son!" And, "Well, your mom is away for the week, so I've got you for the weekend." No, his mom's dead. Burn, Vader. And it was kind of funny because Vader just, treating him just like his son and just "Hey, son!" Just, yeah. Unlike Vader himself and, well, how Stewie betrays Vader. But anyways. And Stewie as Vader, giving his son a ball and one Imperial officer popping up and saying, "Good, our first catch of the day." Yeah. And apparently, there's one joke that happens, comic strip or something, about the light side, father, light side. I'm sure you guys would get that. I really don't fully get that. And I don't know about you, Anchorman, but anyways. So then, and to speed things up some more, because, them going on the Death Star, Luke meeting the Emperor for the first time, and the Emperor just taunting Luke, and his head just turning, "Oh, I'm afraid the deflector shield," and geez, you don't have to be a dick about it, says Luke, pretty much. And of course, Han, Leia, Chewie, and the rest that are on the surface of Endor, attempting to destroy the shield. That's is protecting the second Death Star. And in this, Han is threatening them, and it's dark, having them take their helmets off and bury their own graves. But sure enough, of course, they are ambushed by the other Imperial troops and stormtroopers, and this one Imperial officer that says to Han, "You rebel scum." And Han was amazed by how he spoke and handed him a card, and he reads it. "Paging Mr. Herman, Mr. Pee-wee Herman. I found my bike!" Because, yeah, Pee-wee finally found his bike, and he passes by. Good to see that he found his bike. Yeah, and of course, well, all hell breaks loose, and when the Ewoks pop out, and of course, from there on, the Battle of Endor on the surface. And, well, sure enough, in space, the Battle of Endor in space happens when the rebels arrive, and yeah, and of course, then comes the line, "It's a trap," and Klaus is Admiral Akbar saying, "It's a trap, it's a trap." Also, whose cat? A cat is literally just scraping on his fishbowl. Someone get your cat. God. And, well, yeah, and of course, the battle happening, and me and Anchorman, we've said this before in the last two Family Guy Star Wars specials, where we talked about that, again, it's amazing how the Star Wars ships and such, how they look in Family Guy, still, how do you feel about that, and how they look in the Family Guy Star Wars specials? The ships and so on.
They look really good.
And especially because, well, in this, the Battle of Endor.
Yeah, definitely. They look exactly how they look in the movie.
Yeah, they do, also, I mean, I don't think, I mentioned this, and you thinking of this, you agreeing too, that the Family Guy Star Wars specials, whenever, because, the shots of the ships, sometimes they're quite good at, mirroring and having them be identical as to how they were on screen, and the specific shots of how they flew on screen, and of course that goes for the Battle of Endor, some certain shots of the Millennium Falcon flying around and firing on the TIE fighters, that whole stuff, and yeah. And one joke that happens during the Battle of Endor, I wish this was kept, especially in the shorter version, the clean one, where because there's nothing wrong with this, because, and there's no reason for it to be cut from the short version, 44 minutes, where Lando says, "Lando to Enterprise, draw their fire away from the cruisers." And we cut to the crew of the Enterprise D, and the only two characters that speak are Worf, being voiced by Michael Dorn, and Picard, being voiced by Sir Patrick Stewart, obviously, because, from Picard and Worf, then their response is, "We're having tea, thank you very much. Yes, tea." So they just want to have tea. They're not gonna join in. What did you think on that, Anchorman? The Star Trek joke.
It was cool. Yeah, I like Patrick Stewart. So.
Mm-hmm. I think it's obvious that especially with Family Guy, you'd think that there would at least be maybe one or two Star Wars jokes in Star Wars, and, well, there was in It's a Trap. So, yeah. And also because another character from the Cleveland show that appears in this, playing Naninum. Do you remember who that was, Anchorman?
It's Rollo Tubbs.
Yeah, Rollo Tubbs. And, oh yeah, I almost forgot, because, yeah, he was voiced by Mike Henry. Rollo Tubbs appearing in this, and, because he, playing the part of Naninum, of course, being funny, of course. So again, the fights going on between the Battle of Endor in space and on the surface, and, well, coming back to the second Death Star between Luke, the Emperor, and Darth Vader. At a certain point, well, the Emperor starts to taunt with Luke by insulting someone he admires, and that being Seth Green, towards Luke. And, well, the fact is, well, it's Seth Green voicing Chris, and Chris is Luke, so, yeah. Because from, them mentioning Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Austin Powers, and one other movie that Seth Green was in that really gets to Luke. Yeah, and Vader, when he ignites his lightsaber, well, he accidentally ignites his joke lightsaber, and then whipping out his actual lightsaber. And more on what happens down on the surface of Endor. Well, one joke where the stormtroopers, getting tackled by some Ewoks, and well, they grab the Ewoks and they accidentally hit themselves, but they continue, and then, well, they strip down their armor and their chicks and pillow fight. What did you think on that, Anchorman?
When I was a kid, that scene was probably the funniest.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and because that too I remember seeing in the advertisements and trailers for Return of It's a Trap. So, and other things that happened, well, because like in Return of the Jedi, because there's one quick sad scene where an Ewok gets killed, and the Ewok checking on him, and not moving, and then the Ewok just munches on his arm. God. And then we come to the one walker, and because in Return of the Jedi itself, Chewie and two Ewoks hijacked a walker, and that's where things were starting to really look good, and they were now able to take down the Imperial troops and stormtroopers on the surface, and taking down those walkers. Well, because, when we come up to that walker, a reference/joke to Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, John Candy and Steve Martin, their characters, and doing the mess around, because in the movie itself, like, John Candy's character is behind the wheel late at night, and, well, Steve Martin's character is taking a nap, and John Candy's character, playing a song, of course, being, mess around, and just, that was pretty good. Did you get that, Anchorman, the Planes, Trains, and Automobiles reference?
Yeah, I did too, and it was they also did that in Ted 2.
Yes, yeah, they did. You're right. Yeah, you're right. They did do that in Ted 2. Same thing, because Ted is behind the wheel, while Mark Wahlberg and Amanda Seyfried, their characters are fast asleep. So yeah, which then, if I remember correctly, they did crash at a certain point. So.
In a barn.
Yes, that's right. So yeah, and of course the Ewoks, they come in, take down John Candy and Steve Martin as Imperial troops, operating the walker. But there's no Chewie. I mean, well, I guess Chewie probably showed up later, because we do see him in that one walker. And yeah, because now, like, let's go ahead and come up to that, because I think by now, because we can, because Leia, like in Return of the Jedi itself, getting wounded, but of course, quickly shooting those two stormtroopers. And then, well, Chewie and the walker approaching, and Chewie getting a little carried away, controlling it, like, oh, hey, like, there's a butterfly, and so on. And stupidly goes for a hornet's nest, bees, whatever, completely, blasting it. And, he even went for a squirrel. But when he went for that nest, of bees, hornets, whatever, well, yeah, because they swarm in, and they attack him, and just, he's all, like, been bitten and such. God, poor Chewie. Well, he had that coming, so yeah. What did you have anything to say on that?
It was funny, and like the way Brian died when I guess he got a taste of his own medicine.
Well, I mean, of course he didn't. Well, I mean, he didn't die. I mean, just like passed out from being stung so much. So
I thought he died when that happened. That's when I originally saw it.
Well, he is fine later on. They're not going to flat out. They didn't flat out kill him in this.
No.
But they did later on in the show. And of course, Stewie saved his life.
Yeah, for time travel.
Yeah, but that's another story. But that's an entirely different story on that. But anyways, so of course, them taking down the shield, destroying it, and well, because the shield is down. Commence attack on the Death Star's main reactor, and Rollo Tubbs as Nimnum pointing out that the shield may be down, but they've gone to glitter, like disco, and yeah, it's literally now a disco, and a bit of that Star Wars, like, I've heard that before, and it's quite good. So. And coming back to Luke, Vader, and Palpatine, because, still, the lightsaber duel goes on, and once again, Vader insulting and just getting Luke under his skin, just about, insulting Seth Green. And I wonder how many of his fans know he's Jewish, and that's what really triggers Luke, just attacking Vader, and, of course, chopping off his robotic arm. Darth seems to be okay. Nothing too bad. And Palpatine seducing Luke to join his side, take down his father. But of course Luke, not doing so, and of course the same bit of dialogue that is said in Return of the Jedi, "You failed, Your Highness, I'm a Jedi like my father before me." And, well, sure enough, of course, Palpatine using the Force lightning on Luke, and and Luke saying to his father, "Father, please! Please? You said please!" And, of course, Vader grabbing Palpatine, throwing him into his death, and, that's the power of please. So, yeah, and we'll come back to you, Anchorman, because where we're at, because anything to say?
I like the disco Death Star. I thought that was funny.
Yep. Oh, and you know what, because I almost forgot about this, because there's a Lost in Space reference where, sadly, Will Robinson is blasted by the Death Star, and Dr. Smith just panicking over it. Will Robinson in this was voiced by Max Burkholder, yeah, and Dr. Smith, I were to assume, that would have been Seth MacFarlane. I guess not. Well, clearly, because I'll see the name. I don't know, because, you did get the Lost in Space reference, did you, Anchorman?
I don't think so, but the guy who played the Max Burkholder, I think he's, like, in the TED series.
Yeah, I believe it could be the same one that we're thinking of. I think we're probably right, so... Anyways, so... Huh. Well, apparently, because whom voiced Dr. Smith is not listed. Again, I were to assume maybe it would have been Seth MacFarlane. I don't know, but anyways, not listed. That's weird. So, it's one of those things. Oh, wait a minute, no, here he is. God, how did I miss it? Dr. Smith in this was Chris Edgerly. Yeah, Chris Edgerly did an impression of Jonathan Harris as Dr. Smith, so... Because he had Dr. Smith, you had Will Robinson, you had B9 out in space floating around, and, well, because the Death Star strike that Will Robinson... God, obliterating him, literally. But anyways, so... Yeah, so after the Emperor's defeated, and, well, because, by this point the Rebels are winning, and, well, all the Rebels going inside of the Death Star, and, yeah, I was thinking of this, there was one joke, but no, that was in something Dark Side, because it had to do something with, I was thinking of, with the Millennium Falcon, but anyway, so, Luke... dragging his father, but again, Darth Vader, he seems to still be doing it right, and Darth telling his son, Luke, help me take off this mask, and Luke is trying to do so, but he accidentally breaks his neck. Oh my gosh, what did you think on that, Anchorman?
I thought that was brutal to watch. Seeing Stewie get his neck snapped.
I know, absolutely, just wow. Well, that's how he died. I mean, Vader is supposed to die, and that's how it's done in this. But anyways, and even when still, Vader seemed to be doing all right. He wasn't really wounded or anything like that. But oh well. And of course, they destroy the Death Star. A reference to the electric. I wish I could remember the name of the band because a band making a cameo in this, and when the Millennium Falcon and one X-Wing take down the Death Star's main reactor, and by doing so, they all get out of there, and of course, yeah, the Death Star has exploded, and a funny moment between Leia and Han, I'll take you out to dinner, something that Han said to Leia is pretty funny, at 9 p.m. and so on. And the finale, because, well... Pretty much it's just like in Robot Chicken, the Lego Star Wars game. They do use the original finale music, yup yup bija yup yup. So I swear, because almost everything where every adaptation of say Return of the Jedi, again from Robot Chicken, this and Lego Star Wars, they've used that. But yeah, so, and of course, seeing the Force ghosts of Yoda and Obi-Wan, and seeing the Force ghosts of Anakin, Stewie, we finally see him out of the mask and suit, for once, and his neck is messed up, and just, what the hell, man, I was going to live, I was about to make it, and just, Luke is totally unfazed by it, and, thanks for not giving up on me, and Stewie's reply, F you, you murdered me, you ass. Pretty much, but not intentionally, I assume. So, what did you think on that, the appearance of Anakin's Force ghost in this?
Thought it was cool, and his neck looks wild.
Yeah, and again, because after Luke accidentally breaking his neck, so, but not, I don't, like, really not like that. Anyways, and that's how it ends, and one last shot of our main characters, just like in Return of the Jedi. And of course, well, Peter's story of his rendition of Return of the Jedi comes to an end right as the power comes back on. And Meg making a comment, what about the prequels? I think the Cleveland show's doing that, because yeah, as I said earlier, they do make a joke and reference and mention that. But of course, ultimately did not happen, so... Again, didn't you say, Anchorman, that you would have wanted to see that happen?
I would have loved to see them do, like, the Star Wars prequels and sequels.
Oh, yeah, just imagine how they would have turned out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It'd
so...
be cool if, like, the Cleveland show did the Star Wars prequels.
Yeah, and as...
Unfortunately, the Cleveland show got canceled.
Yeah, but obviously that was that was a joke, of course, and still,
Yeah.
Peter going on just making fun of Seth Green, and Chris gets back to his dad on Seth MacFarlane, and, well, both Peter and Stewie and Brian, they think Seth MacFarlane's a cool guy and so on, and just pretty funny, and then just, like, you know, Peter then, like, saying something like, you know, wait for the laughter, and just all of them just looking around their eyes, and boom, that's how it ends. And once again, getting that nice, you know, Family Guy's version of the Star Wars theme combined with theirs, you know. Yeah, so, anything to say on the ending of this?
It was a cool ending.
And funny, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Are they making fun of Seth MacFarlane himself?
Making what now?
Making, like, fun of him, like, saying he's...
Well,
like, mean, but
yes, exactly, and that's what Chris, Lois, and Meg do. And again, as I said, not just Peter, but Brian and Stewie, all three of them think that Seth is a cool dude and such. And like, it's like the obvious like jokes that they say towards Seth, like he ripped off The Simpsons and blah blah blah. But yeah, but overall, that was a funny way to end it off. But anyways, so yeah. The third and final Family Guy Star Wars parody special, It's a Trap, was a pretty good and to end off the Family Guy Star Wars parody trilogy and such, you know, doing the original 3 films from the original trilogy. Yeah. It's a Trap did not disappoint. I think this was pretty good, and what was going on in it, and just, yeah. And what say you, Anchorman? Your final words, results, and thoughts on this?
I thought this was a really good special, and I liked the lightsaber duels, too, in it.
Mm-hmm. And
like, all the references, and, yeah, and I think my favorite part of these specials were definitely, like, Cleveland R2-D2. It helped my love for Cleveland Brown as a character.
Pretty much, yeah, I mean, clearly, because Cleveland as R2-D2 was one of the highlights of all 3 of the, you know, specials. But anyways, yeah, just, so yeah, you've heard what me and Anchorman have had to say, and how we rate it. We'll start with you, Anchorman. How do you rate It's a Trap?
How about a 10?
Yeah, you know what? The same goes for me. For both me and Anchorman, we give it 10 out of 10 stars. Yes, 10 out of 10 stars for the third and final Family Guy Star Wars parody special, It's a Trap. Yeah, just again, it was a great and final Family Guy Star Wars special to end it off. Yeah, and just like how in the original trilogy, how Return of the Jedi end things off with the original trilogy. So yeah, what about you guys? What did you think of the third and final Family Guy Star Wars parody special itself? It's a Trap. Is it one of your favorite of the 3? I mean, do you like all 3 of them, I guess? I mean, who wouldn't? What were some of your favorite gags and jokes and moments that were in this? I assume you got big laughs and just, yeah. And what me and Anchorman had to say about it. Yeah, overall, what did you think of It's a Trap, and what did you think of me and Anchorman, our review of It's a Trap? Leave comments and give this review video a like, as always. And so, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching. we hope you guys enjoyed our review of the third and final Family Guy Star Wars parody special, It's a Trap. More review videos are coming your way. They're going to be awesome. Keep looking forward, and we'll see you guys in the next video/review. And once again, thank you, Anchorman, for joining me for this, and especially, you know, now that we've reviewed all 3 of the Family Guy Star Wars parody specials.
Thank you for having me on and reviewing the Family Guy Star Wars specials.
Yep. But we're not quite done yet, because we've got another Family Guy special for me and Anchorman to review. And to best describe it, well, let's just say the time finally came. Something that everybody wanted to see for years. Family Guy crossing paths with another famous, cartoon family. I think you know exactly what it is. Yeah, stay tuned for that. Me and Anchorman reviewing The Simpsons Guy. Take care, and peace out. And may the Force be with you.
Always.